we were going to go to Vail for a day, and we just were like, you know what? We were happy at Breckenridge, and we were enjoying it, and that was a beautiful thing. And
good for you. I
so,
envy you. I don't have any of those skills or mobility, like for any of the snow sports, skiing or anything.
yeah, I don't believe it. I think if we jumped in and we spent a day together, I've taught a lot of people how to snowboard on their first trip. And
I would
think
love,
in the end, yeah.
I would love that opportunity. Yeah, I hope that comes for us.
Yeah, let's do it sometime. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it sometime.
Business trip, of course.
Absolutely. So do you mind if I screen share, or
No.
is there anything else that needs to be said before we
Well,
jump in?
before we jump on, just a quick couple of things is that on the financial side, when do I switch over to the 500 a month?
Yeah. So great question. I think we talked about probably doing it this month. And so I think I probably goofed on that. We did enough work in December, but so I'll switch that over.
Okay. But if I owe you, Chris, you said we did enough work. So if I owe you,
I mean, yeah, we did enough work that no, we're good. We're good for this month. So
so start January. So
I'll start that in January. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then the other thing is, are you going to invoice me for?
Well, that's what I want. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So could I invoice you when?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So those two financial pieces. And then the thing with Pepper, what was interesting, AI is exciting and I'm getting sick of it simultaneously. I just don't, whatever you're saying, I get it. It just, I don't know if it's authentic or it's Adidas just did their first full-blown AI ad without any scripting, without any actors. Could not even tell the difference.
Yeah. It's going to get really good.
Yeah. Well, the challenge is does it get too good and too perfect? And all of a sudden you become desensitized to it. So I love where you're going with the questions, like what myths are we going to destroy? Because it just, maybe it can mess it up a little bit. And that might be the edge, is that if I stutter, I re-say something, maybe we just keep it so it's not competing with AI, so to speak.
The last thing I'll say on that, AI is going to replace a lot of people. 100%. What it can't replace is people. And
the functions they perform. Yeah.
And that's what we are, right? Like we're a thinking brain that has life experiences, and people 5 years from now, regardless of what anybody says, people are still going to be going to work in companies and managing other people.
Yeah.
and there's not going to be an AI trick to like make that person a better leader. The education might be available, but the education from another person, I believe, is a different thing. So I could be wrong 5 years from now. People could be laughing at me, but I believe 5 years from now, people will go to grocery stores. In those grocery stores, there will be a manager. That manager will walk over to a person who's stocking a shelf and either lead them properly or lead them poorly. And that person will quit or stay due to the fact that manager was good or bad. And I think that's going to happen in companies for the foreseeable future. And that's
it only needs to happen for the next 10 or 15 years, whatever my working career is.
I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but I think we're safe in that. The people that I see in my neighborhoods, they're going to be going to jobs in 5 years. And that's happening. You're going to have a lawn service, a landscaper that has multiple, runs multiple teams, and that person's going to need the language to talk to his employees to get them to want to go mow lawns for $20 an hour. Like, that's all real shit. That's not going away.
If it is, I'll just pivot at that point and I will find something else to do. So
that's right. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to, along those lines, again, I don't know what's real or not, but the AI, what triggered it is there is one girl that I am following because I've gotten some useful information from her. And that's the one that I sent you that she was talking about these schools. What was interesting is after the 2 hours, what they're teaching. And so when it was public speaking and critical thinking, that's your lane. That's Pepper's lane. And I just thought it might be an interesting collaboration. I don't know how much marketing she's going to do, but for you guys, it could open conversations when you work with organizations. The two things that we hear is that one, critical thinking, which no one would argue, and then public speaking, because once they have this thinking, it has to translate somehow, and it'll be what you say and it'll be how you say it.
Yeah.
And so that's all. I mean, I'll just leave it at that. I don't know that Pepper would do too much in the marketing, like you would have to do it and then just bring her in. I just think that it could be a conversation starter and there's a nice alignment there. So anyway, that's all that was. So we can hop into the recording. That was the only two things.
No, I super appreciate it.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry, on a side note. Sorry, because it's all coming to me. I really want to push every post that's the this versus that versus a singular thought. So if you say avoid versus adapt, that they're both on there. And then there's a chapter number to build the awareness of the book.
Okay.
I mean, I want to throw out the idea if you think it has some weight to it, because when there's one thing, there's not a choice to make. Like if you go and they only have Coke, it's either yes or no, but they have Coke or Pepsi. Like studies have shown they're going to pick one. So, anyway, I just want to throw it out. If you're going to know more than I do, if you go, that's not a good idea, then I default to you.
That's great. Yeah, no, I mean, those comparatives posts have garnered conversations. So yeah.
Okay. All right. We can jump in then. Is this in case you forget? Sullivan's.
That's right.
In case you forget, you could look at that's.
I can remind myself what my family name is. So you've seen a lot of this, obviously core form method, and this is what we're going to be focusing on when we get together. Have I sent you this sheet, this updated? Probably not.
I'm going to say no, but it doesn't mean you didn't. It'll just, if you send it now, it'll be at the top of my email.
Okay. I'll send it immediately after following this, and that way you'll have it. Long and short of it, what I want to do in the next 45 minutes, hour that we spend together is to refine what it is that we want to focus on when you're, down here at Elevate. And, the one difference that I should probably set you up for is, remember, there's going to be 4 to 5 other people there. And I know you're used to having that one-on-one experience. It doesn't, I actually believe this is going to make us more focused and give us potentially even better content, because we'll have other people doing the same thing at the same time. We'll have 3 cameras rolling in different scenarios. So what it doesn't mean is that you won't get enough time and attention, or the time and attention that you're used to. It just means that when we're on, we'll be on, and we'll get our captures done in around 20 minutes to 30 minutes max. And which is why we want to, really focus this. I wondered for a minute when I was working with one of the speakers, is this going to paint anybody into a box? And so far, everybody that I've worked with, talking through this thoroughly, you're the last one. It seems like the answer is no. It seems like everybody feels like this has given them the clarity that they're looking for. The only difference with you and I is we haven't put it into this type of specificity before. We've just we've been developing this as we've worked together for the past few years.
A couple of questions, and they're not in any order, and I don't know that it applies to this. It just popped in. Is that one, is everybody going to be able to use everybody's kind of B-roll? Because if you guys are videoing people talking at a table, that could be some cool B-roll or are you going to have the photographer there? Oh, okay. Yeah, because like if you're doing like what I'm doing is really a intimate workshop. So if there was a shot of 5 or 6 people, I would dig that shot. So I don't know if you guys have had that conversation about B-roll or oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Yeah. You'll get imagery, B-roll, and not that everybody's going to use everybody else's B-roll, but everybody will get B-roll and everybody will get enough B-roll. So it's not like you're going to have access to Nikki. She's going to have access to yours. But everybody will have the same types of B-roll shots that'll be involved. So
are we doing anything at, I forget her name. She owns the schools there.
We probably won't go to the school. Yeah, we probably won't go to the school.
I'll tell you if, and I hope I'm not derailing you. It's just this part would be for me specifically.
Yeah.
Even if we could talk to the group for 5 minutes and you guys could get that serves me really well because I'm interested in more intimate. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out. So if you just go, Jay, can you just talk about emotional intelligence to the group for 5 minutes? I don't need anything more. And I just kind of go through that. That would be of value to me. I have a very specific need. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep. Nope. You weren't on planning call 2. That's probably my fault because I wasn't sure if you were coming yet. And we covered all that in the end. So it's important for you to know all that.
Okay.
We're going to get little mini group shots. We're going to have others Q&Aing you in, just these short little brief kind of hits. So, we get multiple types of content.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing that I think we've learned over the years is that generalized video doesn't work that well. It doesn't land for anybody. And, even in our social media efforts, I think we've learned that there's something to be said when we hit a touch point for somebody, when we hit a hot button for somebody, that it gets more activity, it drives more conversation. What we're not creating is viral videos, so I'm not super interested in, we're not going to have anybody jumping off of a table or, and then landing and then making a speech, none of that silly stuff. Right. This is about speaking directly to your target audience into a problem that they might be having and becoming known for that person that solves that problem. And hopefully, when they land on us, they find, wow, this person is really speaking my language directly to the problems that I'm having. And, I think I'd like to, find out more and know more. So that's, so we're taking the defensive football coach approach, the ground them and pound them game. And, the difference between public speakers that you might be following, that I might be following, that have millions of views, is simply the amount of time, effort, and energy and the budget that they're sticking behind, how much they're putting in there. And so some of these coaches are spending up to $70,000 a month on their, social media work. And when we see those types of extraordinary results, it's quite simply that. It's the amount of volume, it's the amount of film that they've done. So we're doing that on a smaller scale, but
I'll have to pay you 70,000. Okay, I wasn't looking at my email. I was just pulling up the thing I want to focus on and the points as you're making that. So, okay, I got that handy. Go ahead.
So here's the deal. We're going to focus on identifying, again, I want to get a really good understanding. You hear this out of my mouth all the time with you. What's the core problem that we want to solve specifically? And the better we can name that core problem or those set of core problems, then the better we can call those out in videos and questions. 2, we'll explore the solutions, and we've done a great job coming a long way with the solutions that you offer. We now have the Leaders Lab for that group solution for salons. You've got your boutique offering. I forget what you named that.
This is just going to be Leadership Learning and Execution Lab.
Okay, what was the high level one? You had an acronym.
Yeah, I wrote it down
and
then I threw it out. Yeah, it came and go. I just want this to be explanatory. It's the Leadership Learning and Execution Lab.
Okay, but what about the one-on-one situation?
Oh, you mean the Smarter Room one, or the one?
There was a one-on-one thing. You had an acronym for it, and it was like A.
Yeah, I think. Oh, hold on a second. I may have it there. I thought I threw it out because I abandoned the concept. Hold on a second.
Well, it was the $1,000 offering. That $1,000 a month offering.
Yeah. So other notes. Yeah, I remember now. It was like, yeah, it's kind of the ASM, a Smarter Room.
No, it was sort of above that. It was like, it sounds like that's disappeared.
Yeah, I just want straightforward where I don't have to explain. I had it written down. I think I just threw it out the other day because I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I think I threw it out, unfortunately. Okay. Well, so the thing I want to focus on with us is that Leadership Learning and Execution Lab, because the problem, to your point, that I see is it's not a lack of knowledge. People have that. It's the applied knowledge.
Awesome. Let's just go straight there. So maybe I should email you this real fast because of what you just said.
Chris, I'm going through the little rolled up pieces of paper I threw out. Let me see if I can.
You know what? I recorded our phone conversation when we were talking about it.
Oh, I don't want you to do any extra work.
No, I'll find it. But it was definitely something that you and I were both excited about. And I didn't remember the acronym.
There was, you weren't talking about that leadership speech about facts, was it? Where it was feedback, accountability, coaching, transparency, and so it wasn't that, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't that. I also, of course, liked that, but it wasn't that. Anyway, I'm gonna come back to this form.
Okay.
So I just emailed you this form. Obviously, print it, make as many as you want. But in Sarasota, what are the top core? I love what you just said. It's not a learning problem or a knowledge problem. It's an execution problem.
Yeah, application and execution, because it's not a well-planned strategy that works. It's a well-executed. And I see people with great strategies. It just falls apart during the execution.
Okay. So is that one of the problems that we want to address?
Yeah, because this model is, and I'm just looking at my notes, it's a hybrid format. It combines the expert teaching with real-world tactical discussions for practical application. So, yeah, that is one of the problems, is that people learn it and then they forget it, is the other thing. And so if you want to put it down, is that training becomes an event. Versus, this ongoing process. Like go ahead. I was going to say it's immediate. I have the notes here. It's immediate application that ensures faster results.
Okay.
With less disruption to business. And that's the challenge with training, is it's usually some disruption to business, because I got to fly people out. Now I don't have coverage, or, a job doesn't get done. So that's and this is specific to what I'm doing because it's virtual. So that's the problem. That's kind of the solution. Sometimes people don't have a safe environment to discuss these similar challenges. And so in this environment, it just allows them to engage with people with similar challenges for collaboration.
Okay. Okay. So that's yeah. So so execution, application. What are other core problems that you're solving for your client specifically?
I think it's how to say it in a way that the person's most receptive. That's the biggest challenge. Is that it's what you say, it's how you say it, and people are struggling with the how.
Why do you think they're struggling with the how?
I think that they operate from their own perspective and how they would like to hear it. And the most effective communicators communicate from the other person's perspective. And so they're starting off with telling versus asking. And if I could just shift that thinking in people.
Okay. Give me another core problem.
I think people communicate before they know what people know, think, and feel. And really, the optimal time to speak is after you know what people know, think, and feel.
Okay. Give me another.
I think people have a tendency to function off of ability. And so they try to coach people based on the fact that they believe they don't know how to do the job, especially people who've been there 10, 15 years. It's the same approach. And they don't factor in that could be a willingness issue, which would be a completely different conversation. And that's more so what I'm finding now is that people have the knowledge, it's the application of it. And generally, it's a willingness issue, not an ability.
Okay. So now give me like, these are all great because they're direct, like in the dogfight, they're in the moment.
Uh-huh.
What's the above level what's the thing above the dogfight that causes, or the symptom above the dogfight? Like, what are the symptoms that the leaders are having?
Here's what's happening is the super worker is becoming the supervisor. I see this is happening over. I just talked to a company that's in the title space, and it's exactly, they said, we just took all our top performers and promoted them in each department. And now it's a new job description. And they don't have any of the skills of that job description. They don't know how to handle foster communication, collaboration. They don't know how to handle conflict. So people are being promoted into a role that they're not qualified for or have the skills for.
Yeah. Okay. So this line of thinking is perfect for this list of problem solution. And I would say for the sake of this workshop, maybe having 10 high level problems that we could call out. I loved all of those. Like, the problem's not a knowledge problem, it's an execution problem and an application problem. So I help people with and I'm assuming you're helping with, when you're in a workshop with them, you're helping them with the how, perhaps, right? So I help people with the how, both on execution and application, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah. And so then even in the, communication is like that big umbrella term, but like how to say it and when to say it that's that little rock in there that shoots a direct arrow, right? So everybody's heard the term, oh, we all know we need to communicate better. What does that mean? When I'm in that situation, how am I saying it? When am I saying it? I've heard you say that, by the way, many times. But that to me is the direct dart arrow that I want to hear like coming out of your mouth. Or I think it'll serve people. It's like when we talk about communication, what am I saying is a part of it? How do I say it? When do I say it? And then I've heard you say on the other end, like, it's not what I say, it's what they hear.
Mm-hmm.
So I love all those bullets. And I like the above level is, the super worker becomes a supervisor. And then I'd even consider like, what are some of the things that they don't like, that they don't know that they don't know?
So I don't know if this is going to answer the question. I think the challenge that they have is that whatever, as a single contributor, they primarily dealt with their own thinking. The biggest challenge they have is, how do I deal with people with different thinking? And then how do I deal with people who have opposing thinking? And their immediate response is to defend and explain their own position instead of trying to understand the other person's. And as a single contributor, they didn't have to do that, especially if they were the expert. And I think the potential, as we're going on it, is they went from being the smartest person in the room to possibly being
the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah, that's the reality. So
Yeah.
How do I lead these people who are smarter than me, who are more talented than me, that are revenue generators? And it goes on. And how do I build this trust and credibility that they'll follow? So I think that's the biggest challenge.
You could, first of all, I directly relate to that. When I went into corporate, like I felt that direct shift. I was used to showing up. I had one, I was a show pony. I had my one shtick that I did. It was valuable, worthwhile, and it was singular. And then I became a leader just because I was given the role. And I realized that I had gone, I'd graduated from circus school, elementary circus school, to now trying to lead a bunch of circus animals. And it wasn't the same, it wasn't the same skill set. It took me 3 years to even realize that I was a fish out of water, at that point.
You see it in sports quite often. I mean, I'm a big NBA fan, and Michael Jordan, which probably everybody would recognize. He was a prime example. I mean, no argument, the best player ever. Him, when he tried to coach players, when he tried to be a GM, it didn't translate. Magic Johnson, that I grew up with, coached and just quit after half a season. It is a completely different job description and skill set. Yep. And so, to your point, part of it's the organization. And then the other thing is, you're not assessing two things: how coachable is somebody and how adaptable are they? So,
yeah. This sparks me to a thought and an idea specific to you. And you might notice on the Instagram, I'm trying something a little bit different with you based on trends, trending hooks, and storytelling is obviously one of them. Obviously, in this versus that, I have not still read a word of Lead Your Mark. I haven't seen that book yet. But Leave Your Mark. But because I don't have it.
Okay.
But I say that to say,
I'm listening to you. I'm going to have Christy send it to you right now. Go ahead.
Could you prepare 5 to 6 of your favorite stories from this versus that to, iterate and teach a lesson from? I think that would be valuable for, whatever your top favorites are. And I've been kind of playing with that on the Instagram a little bit, using stories as a lead, and even using like relevant just things that might hook people, like, mentioning Netflix or doing things like that to help with that. But I one thing I don't think we've done a great job of is telling stories that might hook people. And in the book, you do a killer job at that, but we haven't done that yet on video.
Okay, so that's for this versus that. Leave your mark. I'm not going to spend too much time on. So did you mean?
Forget the book title. I just mean come with like 5 of your
Okay.
favorite transformation stories that are
The
in
Church
the
and
book.
the Strip Club's my all-time favorite.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
grabs everybody right off the
Yeah,
bat. So,
and then 5 more.
okay, yeah, Blockbuster. Yeah, there's a handful in there. They're pretty easy stories to tell.
Yeah. So I would say choose those 5, and then
Okay.
that'll give us a springboard to step from. Okay, so that's the problem, and basically, like, what we want to capture is core problems, and then the why. Why are they having this problem? Execution. Why am I having this problem? Application. Why am I having this problem? They don't know what to say or how to say it. Why are they having this problem? It's like they never had the training, or they came, they were a super performer that became a manager.
So is this good? Are you filling this out, or
no? You're filling this out.
Okay.
We're just walking through it. Yeah. This is when you get those down, the thing that I want you to really think about is, like, we already know that we have limited time whenever we're shooting. So I want you to really be thinking about what are the top 5, like what are the priorities when you're there that we focus on. So if you're, if we've got this list of kind of problems, but you're like, Chris, I really just want to focus on these top 3, these top 5, like these are the sound bites that I want to have. I just want you to have that in your head. So when even on a list of paper, so prioritize the top 5 challenges for the next activities. Are they the challenges you want to be solving? I want to make sure that we're always talking about what you want to be solving. Obviously, they're problems you can solve. And then the other thing that I'm always looking for is, like, the measurement of how much of an impact does it have on a person when we solve this problem. So, like, when we solve execution or application, or when we solve that when that super worker becomes a supervisor, what changes are made then? It's like the organization, is more productive, blah, blah, blah. Their workers, their teams are more happy, whatever it is. We want to be calling out, like, when we solve this problem, what's the measurable difference? And I think that's like, I think that's hugely important. Everybody that I see that's like really high level it's about the transformation. And I was editing a video for somebody recently, and they did a thing where they had their client share feedback with them on video. It was very good. But the client shared feedback, and I had the chance to see both sides. And the feedback that the person was giving was like, well, without me, none of this works. And like the transformation, there's no real transformation. It's an inside thing, kind of a thing. Like, it's inspiration. And it's like, well, if inspiration's your only transformation, then you didn't have a transformation, right? So, like, you always kind of say, like, it's one thing to learn the thing, but it's another thing to execute the thing. So what happens when execution happens? We want to name those. We want to, like, be calling those things out. This is the benefit of better communication. This is the benefit of blah, 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 blah.
Let me ask you this, because on my website, how do I leverage? I don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I talk about commitment, reduce conflict, job satisfaction, relationships, teamwork, profitability, cost reduction, retention.
Those are the things we want to hear.
Yeah, I don't know that I can rattle those off. It would be great to somehow incorporate some of these, but also, if you can cut away so that I can I'm not going to remember 63, 61, 52%, you know what I mean? So it'd be great to record me saying these things.
Yeah.
If you want to look at the website, it's under, when you scroll down, you'll see the numbers, and then you scroll right to the bottom, it says additional statistics. If you just have an idea of how to incorporate that, because that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'd love to do is get you to memorize like your top 5 favorite ones so you can rattle them off. I mean, because it's way different when we capture you saying it than trying to mix in something from the website. And, so find the ones that, if it's authentic to you, it should be able to come out of your mouth.
Are there going to be teleprompters?
No, like this will be a Q&A, style situation. So that's why we're doing this prep work basically is, so we can kind of write out, make a list of, and then, like what are the authentic things that happen? I mean, when, and just, again, we want the top, like what are those definite things that we want to hear come out of your mouth that your client will go, I love that. That's for me. You don't have to memorize everything on the website. Like that would be, that's, nobody can do that. But like, we want to know, like, what are the top things that happen when we solve this problem? The top 3 to 5 transformations.
Would this be a reasonable request that, if I talk about, I just say the things you're going to be impacted are your retention, your referral, your rebooking, your reviews, your relationships,
That's what we're talking about.
To have something that drops down that talks about 39% increase in this. So I'm not quoting the statistic, but they can see it's almost transparent. Is that too big an ask? Because I can rattle that off, and I don't want to, start dropping numbers on them. But if they can see when I say, just profitability, and on the side it slides down transparency, 22% of executives showed improved bottom line profitability. Is that a reasonable request if I just rattle off the things?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously you're talking about like in the edit in a video, can I occasionally pop a you're always going to have captions on your video, so all that's going to show up.
Yeah, it just won't be what I'm saying. That's so, like if I say, the quality of executives reported, and then there's the thing, 48% of executives reported an increase in quality. That's what I mean. Do you have the capability to drop the percentage in for me? I'm just trying to think what I have to memorize.
Mm-hmm. If it comes out of your mouth, the captions will catch it. And you're asking like, what?
Could we insert the percentages?
We could, but that's a different like level of production. I mean, that, that's like that's like making separate. So these are, these are social cuts. These are, kind of, like what we've been doing the whole time, and so like for the budget that we're going to, no.
You can tell me no. You can just say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess it sounds like you're like, if we were making like a video, like a Jay Williams video, and it was we were building a storyline. These are more those social cut, those interview styles that we've got on your website. And so, yeah, I'm probably not going to be like over editing those as, I'm every now and then, if we have a favorite one, we want to doctor it up more. Of course we can.
Okay, that's good. So what I'm thinking then is maybe I can just do short recordings. So if I said, what you're going to find is an increase in performance, and studies have shown that
Yes.
39% team performance leadership, there's a 60% of leaders showed improved effectiveness with coaching. Companies report an average of 6 times the cost, return on investment. Then you could record 3 short ones of those and edit it in, right? Or no?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the idea is to catch you authentically, like saying things. And so I think you're overcomplicating this a little bit right now, actually, Jay.
Okay. All right. Then
Yeah,
we can move on. That's
yeah,
fine. We
yeah,
can
yeah. I
we
mean,
can
like,
move on.
we're going to be doing the same Q&A thing, and the idea is like those things that you just rattled off, those few benefits. Just capture those and have like these are the 5 benefits that I'm.
You're not looking for the data to support it. I got it.
No,
It's just
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right, got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Okay. All right, got it.
Um, Okay, so the core solutions part, I'm going to just read this. When a problem exists, people are actively searching for solutions, and often there are already options out there. So we already know that there's solutions for leadership training, for all this stuff out there. By examining existing solutions that you may already offer, or that other people offer, we can find inspiration to develop fresh, innovative approaches, not only that stand out, but have the potential to revolutionize your market. I think leadership learning and execution lab is a great solution for you. So in essence, what we want to be doing is calling out your specific things. And so I want you to say the name kind of multiple times throughout, not throughout every soundbite, but like every time we're kind of interviewing, every now and then, I want you to be like, um, it's a long name. So, I'm just going
That's
to call
okay.
it
When you
leader.
look at the Leadership Learning and Execution Lab, here's one of the benefits. It doesn't
Yes.
take you out of your
Yes.
environment. You
Yes.
get peer-to-peer learning.
Yes.
So that's what the Leadership
Yep.
Learning Lab and
Yep.
Execution model.
That's right. So maybe mentioning the book, like my top 3 to 5 picks would, for you would be like Leadership Lab, the book, your one-on-one coaching,
The capacity coaching. I
the
want to teach
capacity coaching.
organizations. Yeah, I want to teach organizations this skill set
There we go.
so that it's simple, scalable, and sustainable.
Yeah.
So, like when you look at this part right here, I think the solutions that exist is that there's training out here.
Yeah.
The challenge is that they train the behavior, not the thinking, and that's what'll be a point of difference for us. So we'll take them through cognitive, behavioral thinking. There's training out there. Generally, it takes you out of your working environment for half a day or a full day. This is something that allows you to learn it, live it,
I love
come
that.
back. Okay.
And then the other part and piece that we want to call out on the other side, it said, what could you offer? And then it says how to, example, courses, coaching, physical products, resources, software as a service. What are the 3 things we're calling out? We're calling out the
Leadership Learning Lab.
Yeah, which is a group like we want to call it which is a group coaching for 10 leaders.
It's not coaching. I mean, that's what's different is it's the equivalent of going for an MBA. I mean, coaching and mastermind is this peer-to-peer exchange of ideas that may be recycled. Coaching is different in that the answers come from the coachee. This is something where a lot of the answers are going to come from the facilitator.
Let's talk about that some. Let's put that down as a talking point, and that could be in the Q&A part. Like what makes, maybe we do a couple of segments around what makes Leadership Lab different. What makes and because that direct answer that just came out of your mouth is perfect. People are, you say it all the time. People are trying to be different in the same way. And I think you're right. And this, we launched, it launched as a mastermind. It's morphed into this isn't really a mastermind. This is something different. And so, you know, maybe even calling out everything you just said, I think would be worthwhile, you know, a few different times. So, you know, what are the top 3 solutions or, you know, that we want to call out? And then we'll ask multiple questions around those. What makes them different? What do you guys do in there? What is it not, you know, perhaps? And so we can get some coverage around exactly what it is that you're offering that's different. And then the other part is like, you know, in there, it's like, does it solve the problem? Does it teach them to solve the problem? We're obviously not selling a product that solves their problem. Does it help them achieve to a important goal or so like, it's going to help you to get better at, it's going to, you know, possibly save you years of frustration with your team, time, effort, you know, when you have a productive team, save you thousands of dollars, you know, whatever that is, like, you know, we want to call that out as well. So here's what you're going to learn. Here's what you're going to be able to do. And so anyway, that's the next part. I see that you're quiet. Are you just brainstorming or disagreeing or agreeing or just
No. I mean, some of this, I think
we've gone through. Yeah.
You've guided me through over time. And then when I sat through the call, and so I think this is going to be easier for me because I have some of the I know what the 3 products are now. Yeah. I mean, the product is the book, Leadership, Learning and Execution Lab, and Capacity Coaching. I mean, I'll speak to executive coaching is that there are individuals who are looking for this one-on-one interaction. Mm-hmm. So those would be the 4 things clearly. So I don't have to figure that part out.
Yeah.
I think you've helped me, and I've begun through your guidance to communicate problem solution benefits, is the word that you use. So no, this is all. I think this is going to be easier for me because we've made this evolution.
Oh, it. Yeah, no, we have.
I'm just not starting at the beginning.
Yeah, no, we have. I mean, this all, you know, this all came from the work that we've done together since day one, you know, and even those, I'm going to start to post some of those, you know, retro videos that we did with John, those this versus that videos. Jay, they're great. And they're all question and they're all Q&A. I mean, they're as relevant today as they were the day we filmed them.
That feels good because I think there's some universal thinking that has stood the test of time. So I love that you say that.
Yeah. No,
so there's Q&A. Is there any T&A?
There could be some.
There's some Hooters. Dude, how about Q&A with T&A and we do it at Hooters?
I love it.
Okay, just throwing it out there. Yeah.
So this is the next activity, and this is again you just going through, you know, these either frequently asked questions or frequently unasked questions. People that you see people struggling with. What are the things that? And I've only got, you know, kind of lists for 40 here. It's for beginners. What would newer leaders be asking you, or what would they ask you if they had the confidence in you to ask you? You know, what are they going?
They ask me specifically, not what will be asked of them. What they would ask me.
What they'll ask, yeah. What's the like? What are they struggling with? What's the questions that are directly on their mind?
Chris, can I type in this? Is this a PDF or is this a document I can edit?
I can send it as a doc.
I'd like to be able to type it in and print it out so it's nice and clean.
Yeah, I can send it as a doc.
Okay.
But long story short, beginners, what are their most frequently asked questions that you find yourself answering when you're in groups with leaders? And then what are the questions they should be asking you? And often those questions are different. So a frequently asked question for a weight loss coach in the very beginning might be, am I ever going to be able to eat chocolate cake again? And, you know, the question that they probably should be asking is, what are the healthiest people doing and how are they enjoying their eating that, you know, that I'm like afraid to step into this. Like, and so, you know, oftentimes a new leader might ask you something like, well, how do I get my people to do this? But like, how come people are, you know, so stupid? You know, why? And it's like, well, maybe a question you should be asking is like, how do I get on the same page as my team? You know, how do I get them to open up to me? And so,
And what are we going to be doing with this information? Is this part of what you would be asking?
yeah. What are the questions that you want to be caught on camera asking?
Okay.
And so you want to create that for beginners, and then you want to create that for that intermediate leader, somebody who's been leading, you know, you've been leading people for a while and you're still bumping up against whatever roadblock. Or, you know, often people that have been leading people for a while ask me, you know, and it's the difference between that, like, we'll call this like 3rd grade level leader versus a 7th grade level leader. You know, it's just somebody that's a few years down the road, because a great leader probably isn't going to have a ton of questions for you, right? But an intermediate leader, you know, they're still trying to get to that level. So anyway, we want to create, you know, a minimum of 40 questions that we're able to just repetitively kind of set you up in these different sets that are good questions or valuable questions to have you caught on camera, and it gives us a mix of variety. And the last thing, and I know you're familiar with that, so we'll move on here. The last thing, again, is to take a look at the offerings that we do have. So I'm going to read this, and this is something that we've worked on for a long time and finally like had a lot of breakthroughs through. But one of the most challenging things for coaches to do is define their core offerings. This is the what you do. While it might seem straightforward, it's easy to miss the mark, which is different than leave your mark. A strong core offering should deliver a meaningful and measurable result. It should be easy to explain, understand, and purchase. It should target a specific audience. It's not just for anyone. And it should repel those, which you've been doing a really good job at lately, that aren't an ideal fit. And so whenever we're talking about your offerings, I want to make sure that between now and then, however refined you've made those, and you've done a really good job like refining the way you speak about what your offerings are, if there's any room to tighten it up even more, let's do that. And that way, you know, when I ask you, okay, you know, what is Leadership Learning and an Execution Lab, you have a direct answer that delivers a meaningful and measurable result. It's easy to explain. They understand where to purchase it at or how to, you know, get on board with that. It targets a very specific audience and it repels those people that aren't a fit for it. We want the language to include that. And so you've seen this before, but I'll read it anyway. Alex Hormozy says, how you increase the value of your offering is, does it help your target client to achieve their ideal outcome? Is the likelihood of success clear and believable? Meaning, do they believe what we say will happen will happen? Can it shorten the time needed to reach their goal? And can it reduce the effort and sacrifice for them to succeed? So you said it before, like training has now become this
event. It's like a circus. It's like a helicopter that lands. It's all this dust and commotion. It takes off, and then nothing's changed.
I freaking love that.
It's just a mess. Yeah.
So if we could even talk to that a little bit, like because that repels, you know who that repels? Like other teachers, like everybody else is out there saying the same shit. And you're like, it's like a fucking circus out there, you know, like that's great. That's great. And you know, they have a system for the way they do that. And so they say, I help target audience to achieve desired outcome in this time frame without sacrificing. And the way we say it for Elevate is we help coaches, consultants, and speakers to create months of short form video content in just 2 days without the hassle of shooting it and editing it on their own. It's super clear. That's all Elevate is. And it's what it helps you do. And so when you're thinking about like, your offerings, just be thinking about, okay, this is who it's for. This is what they'll get. This is what will happen. This is the time it takes or the commitment it takes or the sacrifice it takes, whatever it is. And then this is what it's going to save them. And in your case, like, I do believe it's worth saying, and this is just my belief, but like, I believe it's worth saying, like, people struggle for years to learn these skills. And oftentimes people get put in leadership positions only to backtrack, only to get either demoted or feel like a failure or feel like, I'm just going to use general terms, imposter syndrome. And, oftentimes they either stay stagnant and stuck, they quit, they go back to doing another thing because they just needed, to shift their thinking, or they needed a skill set that they didn't have. Nobody ever taught them that. So I don't want to give you the language because your language is going to be better, but for them to hear this is the transformation that will happen, I think would button everything up.
Yeah, I mean, as you say it, and I'll write it, I mean, it's just as simple as that quite often you lose your best engineer, best salesperson, best trainer, and at best you gain a dynamically mediocre manager or an HR nightmare in the process.
Yes. All of those little things that you say, Jay, like, man, if you could get 10 of those down that we get, like, instead of, because there's something wonderful about a captivating, inspiring solution being presented, well, the reason why people don't blah, blah, blah. But like, if you go direct in that repelling, like, it'd be fine for you to like throw a couple of gut punches.
I don't mind. I want to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to do it. So,
yeah.
okay.
I'm going to share one more quick thing with you, and I'll send this to you, and then we'll. Okay. And I'm going to send this to you, but I just want you to see it before I do. This is pretty straightforward. This is actually just a review form for what we just talked about, but I'll send that anyway. The second two parts are myths busted. And this is about the reflecting on the common misconceptions or outdated beliefs or stereotypes that are inside of your field. And, this could maybe be the leaders are born, not made, but or made, not born. Can you learn leadership? These are all the misconceptions around it. And the idea is like, what's the myth? Leaders are born. Oh, I actually used you as an example. What's the myth? Leaders are born, not made. What's the truth? Leadership skills can be developed or learned by anybody. Why does this myth persist? Because people think just because somebody has charisma or they're a natural leader that, an average person can't become one. And then, how does addressing this help the person? It's like, it gives that person who's not a natural leader or doesn't think they are, the desire to learn it. So like, if there's 4 or 5, great myths that you want to bust, or things that you hear people come to you saying all the time that just simply aren't true, it'd be worth our while to get those down. And I'll just send you a worksheet to do that. So what are the myths? And then the last things are the things that I wish that I knew. And that could be my younger self. It'd be great for you to give advice to your younger self as a leader, or, this is advice I would give to a new leader. And this is reflecting on your personal journey, writing down, 5 to 10 things that you wish you knew before you started, or that every new leader should know. For each of them, consider why it's important, how it's going to help somebody in the beginning. And then we want this to be around inspirational, relatable stories. It could be the time you got fired. I still think that's a great one to bring back into light. Practical advice, motivational messages. And then this could either be tell your younger self again, or things that you would tell a new leader. So with all of that, that's basically the content we're going to use to create the workshop. And in the first day, what we'll do is we'll be on 2 different setups. So the first setup will rotate groups. So the first setup will be in a conference room. We'll have 2 different setups in that room. Once we've exhausted those 2 setups, then we'll rotate groups. The other group will move into, it's like a penthouse apartment, Scott's apartment. And we'll shoot 3 different setups in that room. And that'll be day 1. So we'll do 5 different sets, mostly using the questions, and the myths, problem, solution. So we'll have that list, to be kind of like pulling topics from that we want to talk about. So prior to each little session, we'll be like, okay, what did you guys cover in the last one? Last one we did Q&A. Great. What do we want to focus on here? Let's talk problem solution for a little bit. Okay, awesome. What are the challenges that you see, your target clients having all the time? And then that'll just prompt you to kind of do your shtick.
What are people going to do while people are recording? What do the other people do? Just hanging out?
A little bit of that. I would say practice time more than hanging out. Kind of just think about the downtime that we always have between shoots, kind of thinking about what we want to say next, maybe what we wish we would say different. Taking photos. So we'll have Angela there taking photography. A little bit of practice time, wardrobe changes, set changes, just the typical production stuff that happens in between production time.
All right. I was speaking of wardrobe. I was just bringing a backpack. If it's 2 days, I was going to bring 3 shirts and a pair of pants. And
yeah, I'd probably bring 5, if you can have 5 different shirts, because we're going to do 5 different sets. Or if you don't mind, if
it's all black or it's white,
yeah,
or it
then
doesn't
it doesn't
matter.
Then it doesn't
Okay.
matter. Yeah.
All right.
That's it. Day 2, we'll
Okay.
do some of that round robin stuff with the group and that stuff. So anyway,
All right, good. I'm excited. Congratulations to you guys for putting this together, and
No.
thank you for the generous offer